Welcome back to Cheaper Pop Culture, this channel's favorite show for nothing. I'm your host, David Lee. Wrestling fans who say that the WWE has a monopoly on the wrestling market really have to realize that it's nothing when compared to the stranglehold that they have on the wrestling video game market. When it comes to wrestling video games, today's fan usually has an annual choice of either WWE 2K or making their own video games. But fear not, because if 2K isn't satisfying your itch and you hate just sitting around and waiting to find out if a second wrestling video game will come out this year, then allow me to offer you some adjacent suggestions. As it turns out, wrestlers have been sneaking into non-wrestling games for quite some time, which is why today we're going to be pointing our fingers at those times when wrestlers have gotten out of pocket in the digital gaming world. Okay, the first and most obvious place to look for wrestlers sliding out of sports entertainment is to look at regular sports. The Rock, Roman Reigns, and of course Brock Lesnar, just to name a few, have all appeared in football games since they have dabbled in the whole legitimate sport thing during a time when video games existed. CM Punk has also popped up in UFC 2, but was rendered horribly unrealistically because in the game, it's actually possible to win as CM Punk? A franchise that went from ripping off GTA to ripping off GTA and Mass Effect also made sure to rip off bits of wrestling too, just for good measure. Because the developers of Saints Row are definitely wrestling fans. Throughout the series, we've seen moves and poses that are easily identifiable to any smart. Also, a couple of wrestlers like Rob Van Dam and Hulk Hogan have lent their voices to the franchise as well.
Murder, mayhem, and fun are all just a big part of any Genki Bowl.
Angel de la Muerte is reborn!
But the crown jewel of VG experiences happened when Roddy Piper recreated his back alley brawl with Keith David from the movie They Live. Never thought I'd say this, but Rockstar, Saints Row definitely got you on one. Speaking of Grand Theft knockoffs, with New Japan being one of the top wrestling companies in the world, as well as Japan being one of the top video game developing countries in the world, it should be no surprise that one has gotten their peanut butter in the other's chocolate, and vice versa from time to time. And that's where we enter Yakuza 6. This open world game featured Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, and other New Japan wrestlers as part of different gangs. It's just like imagining that John Cena mod to Grand Theft Auto, but with a crappier game, but also with better wrestlers. Okay, now I did already bring up The Rock, but we are far from done with the People's Champ. Dwayne Johnson has popped up in games outside of the WWE and also outside of football ones. For those of you who think that The Rock just used wrestling as his platform to get into film, you might stand corrected when you think about how badly video games have been played as a pawn in The Rock's master plan. Because not only did he star in film adaptations of both Doom and Rampage, but also the Scorpion King game, which, like the movie, sucked, and Spy Hunter Nowhere to Run, which, like the film, shouldn't have ever been made. This game was set to tie in with a Spy Hunter movie that was supposed to star The Rock as well. However, the film never went into production, and instead we got a Spy Hunter game apropos of nothing, and one where you play as a person instead of playing as a car for the entire game, which is something that no one ever wanted. That does it for this one. Yes, there are other examples, but f them in the face. Happy gaming, nerds.